Russia's war on Ukraine has shown the extent of Western's contradictions. On one hand, the sincere defense of democratic values and human rights. On the other, the blind compromises with dictatorial regimes due to energetic needs and lure of profit. Jewish institutions too are impacted in a similar way. And Yves Kugelmann, the chief publisher of the Swiss media tachles and revue juive, just wrote an article called "Where is Moshé Kantor?", in which he pointed at the control that Russian oligarchs have on European Jewry. Hello, Yves Kugelmann, directly from Zurich.
Bonjour.
So, first of all, can you tell us who this Moshé Kantor is?
He's an entrepreneur, he is an oligarch, and he's leading the European Jewish Congress for more than 10 years now. He lives in London officially, and since a couple of weeks we are looking for him because we didn't hear his voice during the campaign of Russia against Ukraine. And obviously a lot of Jewish people from the countries he is representing are in danger, so I would hope to hear his voice.
So you've tried to reach him and you didn't get any answer?
Yeah, several journalists tried to reach him. First of all, just to get information, what is the European Jewish Congress doing during this crisis? Because as you know, and everybody sees, right after the war started against Ukraine, so many Jewish organizations, among all organizations in Europe who are in charge of civil rights, human rights, it was quite impressive what kind of initiatives started, but it was also interesting who was silent. So on the first hand, it was the European Jewish Congress. They had some announcements during that time, but obviously, compared to the past, they were silent.
And we're talking about this European Jewish Congress. What's the purpose of this institution actually? Does it have a real impact on Jewish life, daily Jewish life?
Big question, difficult answer. It's a lobby organization. Each country in Europe is a member, the Jewish communities are members of this organization. Actually, the national representative of each country from the Jewish organizations, umbrella organizations, are members there. Maybe if you ask me, is it a democratic organization? In a way, yes, because they have this representative. But as you know, these organizations of the old days, they are functioning different from, let's say, state-of-the-art organizations.
And so this Moshé Kantor is the head of the European Jewish Congress. He now remains silent. Is he someone who is close to Vladimir Putin?
What you can read in the newspapers, yes. He organized several things for him, and he was also trying to lobbying for Russia in the past. And if you read the different articles today in Haaretz, but also in non-Jewish newspapers, this would be one of the conclusions among other conclusions.
So there's another major figure of European Jewry. It is Pinchas Goldschmidt. He's the chief rabbi of the European Rabbi Conference, but he happens to be also the chief rabbi of Moscow. Has Pinchas Goldschmidt also disappeared?
Lately, I didn't read from him. I was in contact with him for an interview before the war started, a couple of days ahead. At that time, he was in Moscow, and we had an interview, we published it. Since then, I didn't hear from him. We tried to reach him, but obviously the situation is more difficult today.
One can actually easily understand why both of them have disappeared. They certainly have no choice. If they wanted to condemn Putin's war in Ukraine, it would be very dangerous for them. But beyond that, how come that two major Jewish European institutions are directed by Russian personalities?
First of all, Pinchas Goldschmidt is not a Russian, he is a Swiss. He is the president of the European Jewish Organization of Rabbis, the Council of Rabbis, and he is the chief rabbi in Moscow. So he is actually Swiss. But with Moshé Kantor, it's more complicated. You know, he doesn't live anymore in Russia. He is not a private person. He is a president of an organization. So there are two options. Or he is just taking act on what he should do. He's a president of an organization. Or he can't do it, so he should step back. And we have a good example, Roman Abramovich. He was very quick in stepping back from Chelsea, not to bring the organization or the football organization in a difficult situation. So now the European Jewish Congress is in this context of an oligarch who is not able to act or to give public statements as a person. It doesn't help if somebody, a peer agency or somebody else, is talking for him. He is the president.
Would you say that this oligarch or the oligarchs have bought literally European Jewry?
For sure, Moshé Kantor invested a lot of money in it, also for good purpose, maybe. Obviously, it's very difficult if somebody is funding an organization, mainly that you are not independent anymore and you can't act anymore as you should. And this is not only with Jewish organizations. We have this now all over Europe with the oligarchs, but also with other questions when it comes to business, to companies, to whatever organizations.
3 oligarchs have recently resigned from the renowned Genesis Prize that some consider like the Jewish Nobel Prize. And the Times of Israel has pointed that Genesis finances as important institutions as Moshe House, Hillel Centers, Birthright, Limud, or even Yad Vashem. Does that mean that not only European but global Judaism is under control of Putin's friends?
I don't know if they are under control of Putin's friends, but they are highly involved in these organizations. And I think looking back, we did some major mistakes in the Jewish world. You know, corporate governance and all these questions of ethical behaving within this civil rights organization is something to be discussed today. And looking back, yes, now we see the result. We shouldn't have focused only on the money. We should also have focused more on the ethical questions.
Yeah, you talked in your article, in your paper, you talked a lot about the money problem. You say that these oligarchs bought some Jewish personalities with private flights, hotels. How do you know all that?
I'm not the only one to know about that, but obviously we investigated this. This is the research of journalism. And, you know, it was also known. It was not a secret most of the time. They were proud. They were telling it in public. And we know a lot of names and a lot of organizations participating in it. But, you know, at the time, this was the maybe kind of a normal situation for these people. And none of them would tell you today, yes, I was one of them.
And a last question, Yves Kugelmann. You are wishing in your article that a Jewish civil society succeeds to a corrupt institutional Jewry. What would this look like?
You know, in the normal world today, it's very important to have full transparency, to also follow the channels of money. Where is it coming from? You know, just the basic fundamental regulations, rules, and ethical standards. And I think this is very important for the Jewish world in general. It's not only with the oligarchs in Russia. We had so many scandals now, also in America. Don't forget the Steinhardt scandal and everything else. I think we should have an open discussion of how Jewish organizations should function, but also who is leading them. Don't forget, these people with the argument of representing the Jews, they get direct access to the leading politicians in this world. And I don't want to know what they discuss in these private or not, let's say, official meetings. We don't know. It's also about business, maybe. It's also about other things. I would like that we have more transparency, but also more democracy. And then at the certain moment we have to discuss money. Philanthropic support is very important, and most of the people who are doing philanthropic work or charity or tzedakah, they do it, you know, with the best intentions, but not all of them, and that's why we need to have a discussion.
So, in other words, you think that the Jewish world has to make his Pesach cleaning now too?
Obviously, everybody's doing his Pesach cleaning with good reasons or with not so good reasons. So let's wait what is coming out of it.
Thank you very much, Yves Kugelmann. I remind everybody that you are the chief publisher of Tachles and Revue Juive, the main Swiss Jewish medias. Thank you very much and see you soon on Academ.